Bismillah. Welcome everyone. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Thursday Halaqah with Sister Dr. Yamina Buganaya. And we are reading 33rd word and we are on 31st window. And inshallah, I'll be moderating today's session. As our dear sister Isra is traveling. So inshallah, let's enjoy and be in presence of Allah and benefit from the halaqah. May Allah bless the gathering. And we started with his name, Bismillah. And Mr. Yamina, floor is yours. Bismillah.
انكذبة. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So if you remember these 33 windows, the 33rd word is constituted of 33 windows, and at the very beginning it started with an ayah. I think it was the Dhariyat. No, Fussilat, sorry. Dhariyat is this window. Fussilat, which is Surah 41, and ayah 53, when we are told we shall show them our ayat, our signs, in the further horizons, meaning in the outer world and within themselves. And so far, it's been mostly, the focus have been on the outer world. Of course, we start with the outer world. We confirm the messages of the ayat, of the events in creation. And then with those messages, when we start internalizing them, when we start confirming them inwardly, then our mindfulness, our perception starts changing and transforms, and then our mindfulness of the world and therefore of ourselves also changes. And the next step is we become conscious of our being part of the world, because in the beginning, when we interact with the world, it seems like we take ourselves for granted, we take our perception for granted. But the more we go through this journey, in this journey, we are learning, whether consciously or not, to question our taken for granted, so-called common sense, taken for granted perception of cause and effect and of what life is about, the purpose of things and the meaning of things, and things that mostly we thought were without purpose and meaning and wisdom. And as we become more convinced and more sure that there is wisdom, and we become acquainted with that wisdom, and we revel and we taste the beautiful taste of that wisdom and all the beautiful names that it involves, then we become a more conscious participator. We're not an unconscious observer. We become a participator, and that was also part of the windows where it was talking about how everything glorifies God, and we were told as they glorify God, the way they glorify God, the way they are made, their beauty or whatever attracts our attention in the world, it also urges us to take part, to respond in a certain way, for instance, with appreciation. And so that becomes, the more we do that more consciously, the more we become a participator in this creation. And then we start realizing that everything is happening at the same time. We are made, it's not like me understanding things out there, but I am made to understand. It is not me appreciating a blessing out there, a gift out there. I am made, the gift is made in such a way that it brings out in me that appreciation. And so I become aware that I am made to appreciate. And that's, I mentioned this a few times before, that's the cycle, when the cycle of Tawheed is completed, because I become part of it. If I don't become part of it, if I'm still stuck in the mode of, it's a ni'mah, it's a blessing, and it's beautiful, and I appreciate it, but I still imagine myself to be the appreciator, to be the one who is grateful, then something is still missing, and Tawheed is not complete, because then I am still actively doing something. And so I don't understand, for instance, the name Shakir and Shakur, because I am the one doing it. Or if I help someone in need, I feel that I am the helper. And so I cannot truly understand that the helper is only one. And so when I am in myself in need of help, then very quickly I fall back into despair, into anxiety. Why? Didn't I, I thought I had witnessed and testified and confirmed that he's the helper. I saw him helping, I helped myself, but I am still, when I was, if when I am helping the others, it's me who is helping, then where is the helper? So there is no true yaqeen, certainty. And so that's why we go back into that place of disconnectedness. And that place of disconnectedness, when we feel grieved and fear and anxiety, and is also part of the, it's also part of the a wise way of creation, because that impels us back to look for the true helper. And this window is about human being and the role we play in all these windows that we've been studying together so far, inshallah. So it's like fil afaqi wa fi anfusihim, and now it's fi anfusihim, in within themselves. So we understand what's going on. Once we understand, it does not mean that things are okay, it's done, we have to act on it, but it's easier when we know what to do or what is to be done. When we have, it's like having a map in our hands. If we're going into a new land, and the inner self is like the vastest land out there, the Qur'an provides us for that map for the outer world and for the inner world. So this is part of the inner world, inshallah. Bismillah.
So, Yamina, what you said, that the first, when you are doing the observation of the ayat, and if you are not involved and you think you are doing it, then still you are not completing the circle of Tawheed. But that's the first step. Like, at least you start interacting, and then the next step is to see that what you are interacting and how you are made to interact it's not from you, it's coming from.
Exactly, yes.
So you would like someone to read, if anyone wants to volunteer, please, we would like you to read the text, 31st window. If anyone wants to volunteer, please raise your hand, or you can unmute and let us know, inshallah. to read the text.
I would, but I can't see it for some reason. Is there any given reason why I might not be seeing it? Or is
Does
it
everyone see it or not?
I do. I see it. It's on the screen.
What about others? Can anyone else?
Okay, now I see it. Now I see it, alhamdulillah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. 31st window, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Suratin, I'm speaking right now. Chapter 94, Ayah 4. We have created man in the best of forms. Surah Dhariyat, Ayah 20 to 21. And in the earth there are signs for those who are certain, and in your own selves will you not then perceive? This window is the window of man, insan, and it is concerned with man's self, anfusi. For more elaborate discussions of it in this respect, we refer you to the detailed books of the thousands of learned and scholarly saints. And here only point out a few principles we have received from the effulgence of the Qur'an. It is like this. As is explained in the 11th word, man, insan, is a missive so comprehensive, nuskha jamia, and through his self, Almighty God makes perceived to him all his names. For the details, we refer you to other words, and here only explain 3 points. First point, man is a mirror to the divine names in 3 aspects. The first aspect, like the darkness of the night shows up light, so through his weakness and powerlessness, his poverty and need, his defects and faults, human being makes known the power, strength, riches, and mercy of an all-powerful one of glory, and so on. He acts as a mirror to numerous divine names, numerous divine attributes in this way. If somebody else wants to volunteer.
I can read, inshallah. No one else is there. Bismillah. So, Inaba was reading the first aspect. Like the darkness of the night shows up light, so through his weakness and powerlessness, his poverty and need, his defects and faults, human being makes known the power, strength, riches, and mercy of an all-powerful one of glory. And so on, he acts as a mirror to numerous divine attributes in this way. Even through searching for a point of support in his infinite impotence and boundless weakness, in the face of his innumerable enemies, his conscience perpetually looks to the necessarily existent one. And since he is compelled in his utter poverty and endless need to seek for a point of assistance in the face of his innumerable aims, his conscience in that respect all the time leans on the court of an all-compassionate one of riches and opens its hand in supplication to him. That is to say, in regard to this point of support and point of assistance in the conscience, 2 small windows are opened onto the court of mercy of the all-powerful and the all-compassionate one, which may all the time be looked through. Yamina, do you want us to read the whole thing or just first aspect?
Well, we can stop at the first aspect, inshallah.
Okay.
Was anyone preparing for this window, inshallah?
Not that I know of.
So here I put the word insan because it's in Arabic insan is a genderless and man. So here man means human being. Mm-hmm. And insan means human being. So this window is a window it's related to the role or the function or the wisdom in the creation of human being, and it is concerned with his anfus, the inner self. And this 11th word, I think we did study together in the past. So he's saying that human being is a missive, so comprehensive that through his self, he is made, human being, through his self, he is made to perceive all the names of God. Maybe another time we can look at the ayat about the creation of human being, Adam. And there are ayats where Adam and human beings are clearly related. So Adam refers to every single human being. And there we are told that he was taught all the names. And then in the same story, the same story, same context, but in a different context. And from a different aspect, the same story is told in the Qur'an in the story of Adam, in different chapters, in different surahs. And in one, it would say that he was taught all the names. In another one, that God breathed of his own spirit into him. So you understand that all these things are related, and it is because of these things, these characteristics, that all the angels are asked to, and made therefore, to prostrate to Adam. So it means everything prostrate to Adam because of this characteristic of him. And we also understand that when Satan does not accept to prostrate, and his excuse is that he was created from fire, and he deemed fire higher than clay. But from the context, we understand that it has nothing to do with fire or clay. And you can see that Satan is particularly emphasizing the clay, like the physical component of or aspect of human being. But when God speaks, it is not because of clay or fire. It is because of the breathing of the ruh into human being. And because of that, he's made to, he's been imparted with all the of all the names that the angels are made to prostrate to him. So it's nothing to do with his clay or the matter or the physical being. It's to do with the spirit, that spirit that has the quality to know all the names. So it has that potential. And you can see that this is also related to the purpose of our creation. And this purpose is, we'll see here, inshallah, that these three aspects are actually, in a way, unfolding for us the meaning of this purpose. What does it mean to know God? What does it mean to worship God? Practically, this is what it means. And it also, we will see not only what it means, and we've seen this in the 11th word in details. And you can also go to the 30th word, the first part of the 30th word. It's called the eye. It talks about the function of the eye. But the 11th word was quite elaborate too. So he is saying the first point, human being is a mirror to the divine names in 3 aspects. So being a mirror to the divine names is something that we keep repeating. It is at the gist and of knowing God. It is at the gist of being abd. It is at the gist because being abd means a worshipper. If you worship God, it means you know him. That's why in the tafsir of we have not created human beings and jinn except that they know God. The tafsir, the very earlier tafsirs was to know and worship God, because without knowing God, there is no worship. You can't worship what you don't know. You would think it's clear and it's obvious, but we need to emphasize this because you see in the culture, it's not so obvious. People think you can worship God without making an effort to get to know him, as if he is creating continuously all this creation in vain, for nothing. It's all being created for many purposes, but one purpose that looks to us is to know God with his many, many beautiful names that have many, many degrees. Now, you may also say, what is it to me? So what if I know God? The answer is also in this point, inshallah. So the first aspect, like darkness, the darkness of the night shows up light. So this can be understood in 2 ways. First, without darkness, we would not know about light. If there was only light, we would not know it. So when there is darkness, suddenly we have a word for light. And suddenly we become aware of light. So the darkness is, we are given the darkness to know the light that is God. Of course, there is again the second aspect, which is like we are also given some, here he says samples, in the 11th word, it was unit of measurements of light, so that we also know somehow we have a notion of light. So like the darkness of the night shows up light, so through his weakness, his dhaf, and impotence, ajiz, his poverty, faqr, and need, hajat, his defects, naqs, and faults, human beings makes known the power, the qudra, the strength, the quwa, the riches, ghina, and mercy, rahmah, of the all-powerful one of glory, and so on. So through our weakness, we get to become aware of his power. Through our lack of strength, we become aware of his strength. With our poverty here is need, faqr is really poverty, but it's also need. We become aware of his riches and his mercy, because we need that mercy. So in this way, he says, human being acts as a mirror to numerous divine attributes, even through searching. So this is the first. Is the first part clear? Any comment or question about that? So we can get to the second part, which is the point.
So Yamina, when you are saying the unit thing, that doesn't apply here. Like unit will be for the positive attributes, which
that's the second aspect. True.
Okay.
Yeah, I just mentioned it so that we don't say, yeah, but we also have we have a sense of knowledge. I may be weak. I don't have much strength, but like I can, I can carry 20 kilos. I may not know much, but still I can learn something or things like that. So that's the second aspect, that's of being mirror-like through being like a unit of measurement. But here it's through opposite. And of course, two aspects are like the two sides of the same coin, because although it seems like I have a limited strength, but actually things that I cannot do, that strength is so limited, it's clear it's only there to get a notion of what strength is. But the extent of this strength, I understand it through my lack of strength, through my weakness, which is the first aspect. The first aspect is the first because even the second has to eventually come back to the first. Because if we if we start with the second and get stuck there, then I may think like I can do small, I know little, God knows a lot. No, it's not like that. Even my knowing little is not of the same nature. It's not inherent to me. It's not from me. I'm not the source of it. I can forget it anytime, for instance. So the first one is the basic. We know through opposites, through the contrast of opposites. That's how we know the beautiful names of God. We have the need for strength. We are weak and we have need for strength and power. So there is weakness and powerlessness together with lots of needs. And through those needs, we become aware of his rahmah, his mercy. And the second one, so we act as a mirror to the numerous divine attributes in this way. Then he says, even through searching for a point of support in his infinite ajz, infinite impotence, infinite powerlessness, and boundless weakness, in the face of his innumerable enemies, his conscience perpetually looks to the necessarily existent one. Even when we don't really know God, even like as a child, I remember you say, if there was, or I wish, or like as a child anyway, usually you don't deny God, even if you don't know anything about it. And whenever you have a deep yearning or a deep need, or something is going on in times of crisis, you pray to God. So there is that searching for a point of support within us, looking for, there must be a source of support. Why? How do we feel the need for that point of support? In us, we experience it as this great weakness and powerlessness and helplessness, and here the enemies are not necessarily an enemy like in war. It could be physical, like an illness, a virus, something. But in other parts of the Risala, it's clear that the enemies are also emotional, like fears and anxieties, and spiritual, like doubts and like darkness, and like this world is so dark. What are we doing here even? And things like that. Those are the enemies. And since he's compelled in his utter poverty and endless need, so again, always there is powerlessness and weakness. And on the other side, there is the needs. And actually in many places, he says like, they are the two wings of ubudiyya. When we are consciously accepting them and using them in this way, they are the wings that will take us up flying in the heavens of ubudiyya, of worshipfulness. So it's again the point of support. We feel it through our infinite powerlessness and weakness. And the more dire, the more difficult, the hardship, the crisis we find ourselves in, the more we become aware of that powerlessness and weakness. Usually when we are in ghafla, we tend to block it through all kinds of means, because it's we don't want to feel the powerlessness, and because we don't feel the powerlessness, we can't complete the journey to finding. At the end of the journey, we'll find this point of support that leads, that's a window or a gate onto the necessarily existent one, the all-powerful, the all-merciful one. So we don't even start the journey because we're so, we dread that powerlessness and weakness. We want to remain strong in the face of anything until something happens and we just collapse. And there it's either, it's a choice, either we surrender, and when we surrender, the door opens and we become aware of that point of support within us, or we just fall into despair because we are looking for the support in the world, not beyond. And so this is the powerlessness and the weakness. And the second, always, they are going to always, in the Risala, they are always together. The second one is the needs that we have. There are so many things that we want, so many desires, so many goals, and so many needs. Some are true needs and some of them are desires, but nevertheless, they are there. And since human being, is compelled in his utter poverty and endless need to seek for a point of assistance, for help, in the face of his innumerable aims, his conscience, in that respect, all the time leans on the court of an all-compassionate one of riches, and opens its hand in supplication to him. Of course, when there is Iman, when we know God. Otherwise, it becomes like hell in this world. And that's why, in order not to be in that hell state, some people are ready to even oppress others to fulfill their needs. And of course, now the conscious is being, they're going against their conscious. It's not the path that we are supposed to take. That is to say, in regard to this point of support and point of assistance, these 2 points, in the conscience, they are within us, we are created with those. It means the point of support means we have a need for support and a need for assistance. Why? Because we have all these needs and desires and goals, yet at the same time, we are so weak and powerless, we cannot fulfill them of our own. We don't have control over everything. And most of the time, things happen and they come our way and we take it for granted and we don't even reflect on how they came our way, they came to be. So these, in regard to these 2 points, in the conscious wijdan, in other places he will also say ruh, because it's part of the ruh, the spirit. 2 small windows are opened onto the court of rahmah, of mercy, of the all-powerful and all-compassionate one, which may all the time be looked through. Anytime we have access to the all-powerful, all-compassionate, it means to divine power and mercy through those 2 windows that are within us, which is the need for help and the need for support. We have a need for help because we have all these needs and desires and goals and yearnings. And not only, actually, when we become more and more aware, these desires are not limited to this world. They transcend beyond this world into eternity. I don't want to say hereafter, because in the beginning we may not know hereafter yet. We have not yet confirmed it. And the second one is the need for support, because at the same time we are so weak, so powerless. We don't, we can't control. What we can control is so limited, and even those limited things that we think we can control are there. That will be the second aspect, are there to understand that everything is under control. Otherwise, I think I can control things, I can bring things, I can arrange anything I want, things in my house, anything I want. Yes, however, all that depends on being alive, being able to breathe, being able to walk, being able to see and think and be conscious. And that, lo and behold, is not under my control. So even what is under my control is incumbent on so many conditions that are outside of my control. Subhanallah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So this second, these 2 windows, these 2 points of support, this need for support and help and assistance, they are the true significance. And we understand now the importance, the import of what it means to act as a mirror to the divine. So because in the beginning, when we say a human being is created in a way that he acts as a mirror to the divine, okay. What is to me? Why should I? It feels like, why should I bother whether I act as a mirror or not? Actually, it's acting. These are consciously. Why should I be conscious about that? I have so many things in my life. I'm busy. I need to make a living. I need to take care of my children. I have a career. I have so many goals and so many desires. I don't have time to act as okay, I'll do the namaz, the prayer, the salat. And alhamdulillah, God, you gave me life. You gave me this house, these children. You give me health, whatever you have that you are grateful for. But I'm sorry, as if we're not saying, we don't say it explicitly, but through our attitude, this is how we stand. But like, I have very important things to do. Well, here we understand those important things that we have to do, they depend on this. Otherwise, we would be, first, we would be working very hard, or thinking that we are working very hard because we think that we are making the effort. And when it works, oh, this is my achievement. When it doesn't work, collapse. And second, let's say I have more achievements than not. In the best of scenarios, let's say, I've done quite many things that I was looking forward to achieve. And so they remain in this world, transient world. There is no, those achievements ends with my death. Even like many will end before, but even let's say, like if I have a wealth or a house or something that I wanted, they are there. They actually will remain after I leave this world. So I can't take it with me. So what's the point? So in two ways, very important ways, we need to heed this message of the Qur'an. It says, and in the earth there are signs for those who are certain, who have yaqeen, وَفِي الْأَرْضِ آيَاتٌ لِلْمُوقِنِينَ, and in your own selves, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Here it says, will you not see? And I put perceive because basara is a little more than just seeing. Of course, it's overlapped. There is seeing, but there is more attentive seeing, perceiving, understanding, analyzing. So if I say, okay, I don't have time for this and I'll work hard, okay, go ahead. But so everything ends with death. It's okay, I'm okay with 60 years, 70 years lifetime. Yeah, but there is no, when we say that, we don't know what we're saying. If we stop and pause, first, there is no guarantee. There's no warranty that any one of us will live that long. There's no warranty that we will be here this evening, forget about tomorrow. Second, even if we live 1,000 years, once it's gone, finished. Whether it was 100, it was 10 years, or 100 years, or 1,000 years, when it ends, it's all multiplied by 0. That's what transient means. And we run away from it. We avoid this reality, this fact, because it hurts. What does it mean? Again, when it hurts, it's good. Stay with that pain. That pain has a message. It's saying, I don't like, la uhibbul afilin, like Ibrahim alayhi salam. I do not like what is passing, what is transient. What does it mean? I long for permanence. I long for eternity. I want what is staying. Okay, that's it. It means I have to look for that. This is a need in me. This is a desire that has been put in me. So I find, but I can't, nothing around me is eternal. It means that's the window onto that. I need assistance. I need help with this.
So, Yamina, what you're saying, this first window itself, the first aspect itself is it's a rahmah from Allah that He makes us taste that neediness, poverty, like that infliction. Otherwise, we won't even feel the need if we are not, if something is not taken away from us. Like that's His rahmah that we encounter those times where we feel helpless, where we feel poverty, maybe the health. It's in our health or in our wealth or anything. So that first window itself, like it's a conscious. When that thing is taken away, it's like Allah poking us to look back at Him. You know, it's not
Exactly.
it's not in the inactivity, but it's even when you're inactive, He's sending you signs so that you may feel your neediness.
Yes, yes. And in the 11th word, if you remember, there was an emphasis on the needs being the keys to the beautiful name. First, the needs being the keys to the blessings and the beauties and the perfections in the creation in the world. And therefore, it is the keys to the beautiful names because the essence, the haqiqah, the reality of anything good in the world looks to the beautiful names of God. And so the need, usually we feel like need, we want to run away, something bad. It has a bad connotation in our inner self. We don't like to have need. However, we are talking about more like the need within ourselves. For instance, the simple example is hunger is a need for sustenance. Now, if we start theorizing, someone may say, wouldn't it be cool if we had no need for food, no hunger? Well, okay, we will have no need for food, no cooking, no buying, no eating. Isn't that good? No, that's not how we are created. That's not our sense of paradise. Why? Because then if we take this need and that need, then we should all be like a stone. It has less needs than us. But we don't want to be like a stone. Why? Because we enjoy the eating and we enjoy, or some of us at least, enjoy cooking. Even those who don't like cooking, when you are really hungry, if you have the ingredients that you like mixing them and cooking them. You look forward to, because you are looking forward to the end product. So just like that, and think of all the coming together, like socializing, coming together for worship, family. We all have some food there, not necessarily because we are hungry, but because we love it, we enjoy it, we appreciate it. So because of that need, that hunger, we get to enjoy all kinds of food, all kinds of creations that we call food because they fulfill those needs. They are sustenance for us. All kinds like of fruits, vegetables, and we combine them, and in the same way we have a hunger for so many other things. Hunger for beauty of forms, beauty of meaning, beauty of sounds, beauty of forms. And we enjoy, and we go on a trip just to see those sceneries and those colors, and we have the need for friendship. And so it's not a burden to go and see your best friend and talk to them and be happy. It's not a burden because it makes us happy, because if there is need, there is the fulfillment of the need brings appreciation. That's the only way we have access to what makes us happy. And we have access, what makes us happy is the blessings. Those blessings are, in a way, the embodiment of Rahmah, of various beautiful names of God. And what we need, what the Ruh needs, the body may need the food, but the Ruh needs the meaning of being served those food, variety of sustenance, the meaning, the rahmah, the meaning that looks to the beautiful names, the eternal beautiful names of God and to their eternity, to akhirah. So that is what nourishes and gives satisfaction and itminan to the heart and to the ruh, to the spirit. The meaning of the beautiful names of God within that we start deciphering within the blessings that we appreciate through our different senses. And we are given all those senses to appreciate and read in the name of God and decipher and find the treasure of the beautiful names of God in everything. So need is key, and it's not something that, as we think when we are in ghafla, something you want to get rid of. As long as we are connected to the source, and this source here, we have these two windows, two paths onto help and help and assistance and support. So through them, we find the all-powerful one of glory and the all-compassionate one of riches. He's all-powerful, he's all-compassionate, and he has all the blessings, but he doesn't have the power. It would not be enough for us. He has the power. How do we know that? Because we have the need for power and for strength. And we look around. Of course, you say, how do we know? Yeah, because everything around us is speaking and glorifying the all-powerful one. That's why there were 30 windows for that. Because without that work, we can't do this. Without doing the work in the outer world, without being totally certain now that all the world, everything is interconnected in a way that testifies that they are coming from one single source. And so they are testifying the all-comprehensive power, the power that all of them, that can control all of them, and the rahmah and the order and the wisdom. The wisdom looks to the benefits, and we talked about how everything is there to support life, for instance. And I don't want to go back to the 30 windows. Without testifying and doing the work in the outer world, like the 30 windows, then we won't be able to do this. We will run when we feel our vulnerability, our weakness, our powerlessness, our helpless. We will feel helpless. We will feel helpless, and we run away. Running away means avoiding feeling that who we truly are. And in the beginning, we just keep ourselves busy with something, and then some of us will, it depends, we all have different mechanisms to deal with this, either keeping busy and distract ourselves, or working hard to make up for it. Like, I'm going to compensate, I'm going to be very strong, I'm going to be powerful, I'm going to be wealthy, or whatever each one of us goal is. And usually we have a mixture of both distraction and working. Yes.
Yes, so the first part of the ayah, which you're saying till the 30th, this window and before, the first part of the ayah was there. وَفِي الْأَرْضِ آيَاتٌ لِلْمُوقِنِينَ. So once you have confirmed it from outside, after seeing all the ayahs around you, and with that conviction, then you come and look inside yourself, and then you will
exactly
confirm it.
Yeah. Like it's like in Fussilat, the ayah at the beginning. We will show you, because we don't see the ayat, they are shown to us.
We have a comment, Sister Yamina.
Yes.
Inaba, do you want to ask your question or should I read it?
Assalamu alaikum. Yes,
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
thank you. Yes, I can read it. This is, I think, pertaining to something that it seems like this window is reminding us of, and so I wanted to ask the question here, please. In the beginning, you said that at first we start practicing gratitude, and it starts to make a difference in us. It starts to transform us. But then we start to think that we can actually start to think that we're doing the gratitude. And that this is a disconnection with like truly knowing who our Lord is, and that one of his beautiful attributes is Ya Shakur. So this question is related to what you said earlier in that. So this hadith, from the chat that I posted there, verily Allah glorified, may he be he, has said, whoever shows enmity to a wali of mine, then I have declared war against him, and my servant does not draw near to me with anything more beloved to me than the religious duties I have obligated upon him. And my servant continues to draw near to me with nafil deeds until I love him. And when I love him, I become his hearing with which he hears, his sight with which he sees, and his hand with which he strikes, and his foot with which he walks. Were he to ask something of me, I would surely give it to him. And were he to seek refuge in me, I would surely grant him refuge. And then, so I was contemplating on this hadith. Actually, I've been contemplating on it for years. And also, I've been contemplating on why certain people are called shaheed when they go to the next life. And what occurred to me this week, and so I'm wondering if this might be a new understanding, is that especially when it says here, and my servant continues to draw near to me until I love him. At first, I was seeing this as something that was far out there and like almost unattainable, but this hadith was for a select few, and one has to travel far away to a distant land to figure out how to do this, and meet somebody who has maybe supernatural abilities who can teach him how to reach this level. And then something started to change in my perception of this, and it was as if it was coming to me that, Ya Allah, don't we realize how much Allah loves us? Like, I mean, he created the entire world just for us to witness and to get to know him. And then I realized that in conjunction with what you said, that when I'm doing gratitude, that's the thing, I'm not doing gratitude. Gratitude is being made and I'm experiencing it, that this is Ya Shakur. Then until I love him almost becomes like, until I accept and with full awareness and like an intimate experience of confirmation that he loves me. And this would seem as if it's like, this is actually so hard to, this actually takes a lifetime of struggle for us to really feel and affirm that no doubt my Lord loves me. And like to really know that within our being. And so then this hadith started to speak to me. We're loving our children, but that love that we feel flowing through us, I don't think we self-generated. In fact, that's what we're told, that we didn't self-generate this. And And so in the same sort of concept of like how we claim these great, these things that make our life the most meaningful, the love we have, the gratitude we have, and then this other concept of being shaheed, why people are called shaheed when that's the attribute of Allah. So I'm wondering, like, is this the reframing that like I need to get to, that we all need to get to, is like stop believing that we're co-owners and co-creators of any of these names, any of these beautiful attributes that give our lives meaning. And so like I'm bringing these two examples from our tradition to try to understand if I'm understanding this properly. Thank you. That's the question.
Thank you, Inaba. I'm not quite sure about where the question is, but what is clear in this beautiful Hadith Qudsi, it's a sacred Hadith, God speaking, but it's not the Qur'an. And most of the Qudsi Hadith are like this, very deep, profound meaning. We are not co-creators. As it says here, when I love him, I become his hearing with which he hears. The closer we are to God, the more we love him through his creation in the outer world and within ourselves, the more we realize that when we are hearing, there is no I am hearing, I am made to hear. So it has two meanings here. The first step is the realization that I am made to hear, I am made to see, I am made to strike and made to walk. And then to the extent that I cultivate that awareness and stay within it and surrender and choose to honor it, then I start acting in his name. So I hear what is from him. I hear in his name what is from him. I see what is from him. Everything is from him, but also what is pleasing to him. Since we have also those limitation of what is beneficial to us and what is harmful to us. So we don't go out into the harmful and saying everything is from God. I'm seeing what is from God. God is seeing through me. That's, yes, we may know that, but it's not truly a surrender that I'm truly, because I'm using my will in a way that is not in alignment with the will of God. What does it mean? It's a contradiction to the claim that I have nothing of my own. Everything is from him. So, of course, that journey of surrendering, that journey of aligning my will and surrendering to the will of God and letting go of what I think is my will, because if I think there is a will, my will, apart from the will of God, it's my own illusion that's coming from ghafla, that's claiming ownership of something that is not truly mine. So the more we surrender, the more there is tawheed, unification inside. It means, because if there is me and he, then there is still separation. the more we unify, and it's a journey. That's why we pray for help in this journey as well. Because if I think I can do it, then again I'm claiming ownership. I'm claiming strength of my own. I know the more we surrender, the more humility there is, the more we prostrate before God, the more when we find ourselves outside that path, we repent and ask for forgiveness. That's the istighfar part, to get back on track, inshallah. And in that track, we ask for help. That's why we ask at least 17 times a day, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. We're saying only you we seek help from, and we worship and seek help from, and so guide us onto the straight path. The straight path is this path, the path of Tawheed, the path of oneness, the path of not claiming false deities. And any deities in the world out there is a projection of the deity inside, the I that claims independence. So yes, it is a beautiful hadith, alhamdulillah.
Sister Yamina, when we say that his will is my will, that there's no my will, his will is my surrender, basically.
Yes. Yes. And you see at the end it says, were he to ask of me, I would surely give it to him. And were he to seek refuge with me, I would surely grant him refuge. This last sentence looks to the two windows, small windows here, the point of support and the point of assistance and help. We ask him to give us what we need, and we seek refuge with him from ourselves and from anything that takes us away from him, because we don't have the power within us. Whatever power we think we have is from him. There is so this last part gives us how being a mirror to the divine names is relevant to our life here and now, and to whatever we think is the most important. And actually, when we do this work, then everything else becomes much easier, because were he to ask me, I would surely give it to him, and were he to seek refuge with me, I would surely grant him refuge. So isn't that like the goal of all what we do? What is it for? Whatever we want, we can write a whole list of things. What is it for at the end? Isn't it to reach that, to be peaceful, to be happy, joyful, and safe? And all those things are with him. And anything that will lead to those things, I can choose a path in this life, and sometimes the right path, so we carry on. And sometimes I'm made to change, and because we have to do something at the end of the day. But like when we are taken out of that path to another, the point is not to resist and to listen and to feel the need for guidance and ask for it. When we ask for it, and when it comes, when we are inspired, we feel it, we can recognize it. If we don't feel the need for it, we don't ask for it. And so even if things are given, we think it just happened. I am lucky or I did it myself, or it's not happening. Why am I so miserable in this world? In any case, all of them do not lead to a fruitful life, neither in this life nor in the next. So this two small windows, this point, this nokta istinad and nokta istimdad, the point of support and the point of assistance, occurs in many places in the Risale. Imam Nursi mentions it from time to time. And in the 20th letter, so there is another book called Letters. And in that one, in the 20th one, there are reflections on, when we say La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu, yuhyi wa yumit, wa huwa hayyun la yumit, biyadihi al-khayr, wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir, wa ilayhi al-masir. So he has a small paragraph reflection on each of these phrases. So for the first one, La ilaha illallah, there is no God but God, there is no deity except God. He says this phrase conveys the following good news to the human spirit, to the ruh, suffering as it does countless needs and the attacks of innumerable enemies. On the one hand, the spirit finds a place of assistance and recourse. A point of assistance and recourse, a source of help through which is opened to it the door. So here he says window because it's all windows, but here he says the door of a treasury of mercy, of rahmah, that will guarantee all its needs. While on the other, it finds a support, a point of support and a source of strength for the phrase La ilaha illallah makes known its creator and true object of worship, ma'bud, makes known the creator as the ma'bud, the true object of worship, who possesses the absolute power to secure the ruh from the evil of all its enemies. It shows its master and who it is that owns it. It shows its master is God, and he is the one who owns it. How do we know? Because we can't even breathe without his permission. Through pointing this out, the phrase La ilaha illallah saves the heart from utter desolation and the spirit and from aching sorrow and grief. It ensures an internal joy and perpetual happiness. There is also another part in the Risala, there are many, but another part in the Risala, in the words actually. The 26th word is the word, it's a treatise of the elderly. And actually it's of the elderly, but it's good for the youth to study it more so that they get ready for when they are elderly. And in one of the, so he starts with hopes, first hope, second hope. In the 13th, I think, hope, he talks about his true experience, his experience in the world, how he went through some experiences in the First World War, I think, and how he was really feeling very, very sad and grieving and sorrowful and felt everything was dark. And then he said, an ayah that says everything is making tasbih, brings light into that spiritual darkness of the spiritual darkness of ghafla. And there also, when he wakes up with that ayah, that everything is making tasbih and remembers the purpose of the creation, then he looks at himself, and because he was crying and weeping for his friends, and he says, who died in the First World War. It was the Russians, and when the Russians entered Eastern Turkey, Armenians who lived there also totally massacred the local populations. So when he went to his hometown, he found that except for the Armenian quarter, all the houses, everything was destroyed and everyone was dead. So he said, even now when I remember it, even later, even after waking up with that ayah, he would still weep, but the new weeping was not like a darkness, but a weeping for longing for akhirah, longing for through these two doors, through these two windows. So that sorrow and that grief and that weeping made him realize his deep need and his powerlessness. So he does this from time to time, gives something from his real life, how he felt very, very low. And then suddenly this ayah comes and speaks to me. He uses that language a lot, like ayah came and spoke to me and reminded me and brought me out of that state of ghafla. So I'm saying this so that we understand that this is not some theoretical work that we do from time to time. If we have time, like it's a luxury, like, okay, we believe in God and we pray and we fast and that's it. We have a life to live. No. This is the life. This is the meaning of life. It's like, this is the istiqama that the Prophet ﷺ says, shayyabatni istaqim kama umirt. We are told in the Qur'an, like, follow the istiqama, follow the direction of the straight path as you have been commanded, ordered. So it's like praying. You pray, you follow the istiqama. So it means all the time the inner GPS of finding the right path needs to be working, and I need to be aware of it. So we need to cultivate that awareness, because if we deviate from the istiqama, let's say we deviated, it doesn't matter, even if it's a little angle, in the long term, it's going to be very far from, if you just put a line and another line that's very close to it, the longer those lines become, the further apart they will be. So imagine in my life, I say, no, I have lots of important things to do. And the more I think I'm successful, I'm achieving, I'm working hard, in a way, it's like running fast. If we are running away from the straight path, the faster I'm running, the worse it is for me. Why? Because the straight path is the path where I am aware that God is the one who is helping us right now. He is the one who is sustaining me in life right now. He is the one who is sustaining my breathing and my seeing and my understanding right now. So I seek help from him. When I seek help, of course, I will worship only him, because I will appreciate, when I appreciate whatever he's giving to me, I will appreciate him more consciously. So that's what worshiping is. And when I seek help from him, everything is made easier. And I'm guided onto what is easier for me. And the point of reference is not this world. The point of reference is the hereafter. It's eternal life. Because when we are in that state, we become more and more aware. They go together like the two sides of the same coin, that this world is transient. And so our happiness and joy and gratitude and appreciation becomes means of knowing God and worshiping him and asking help from him. And the other side, when things are hard, when there's hardship, the grief and the sadness and the pain are also means to remind us to get back to him, remind us that this world is transient, and mostly the pain is multiplied many fold when we forget that the world is transient. So it becomes anything, if the world is not transient, or when we are in a state of ghafla, assuming as though the world is not transient, anything that is painful becomes extremely painful, it becomes even like meaningless. And no wonder we rebel, like what's going on here? Why is it so dark, so meaningless? Why is this happening to me or to this good people? Or, and the moment we become aware of the true dimension that is eternity, everything changes. Being, as Imam Ali radiallahu anh says, instead of being once an oppressor, I prefer to be 1,000 times oppressed. Of course, we don't want to be oppressed. We don't oppress and we don't accept oppression. But if there is no help, no choice, then the ego says, I'd rather be the oppressor than the oppressed. He says, no, I'd rather be the oppressed than the oppressor. Why? Because this life is like an hour or so. It's in the long run, in the big picture. And if everyone starts thinking it's better being oppressed than an oppressor, there will be less and less oppression in the world. In any case, what matters is to stand for justice and know the infinite source of peace and justice, instead of, when we forget about it, then we feel like we have to do it ourselves when we can. When we can't, we either become subservient and helpless, and when we can, we become oppressors. Astaghfirullah. And this works for every other name of God. It means every the names of God are the perfections that we long for in this world.
Sister Yamina, the pain or the dis-ease or dislike that I feel, it's an indication for me to reorient my GPS.
Yeah.
So if I move ahead, I move in the right direction rather than curving back.
If my pain keeps increasing, it's telling me, like, go back. Stop, at least stop, and then reorient yourself. Inshallah. Remember,
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So should we, let's see if anyone has any questions and any comments. Please feel free to unmute and Go ahead.
Salam alaikum. Yamina, you said earlier that every eye is a reflection, every deity is a reflection of an inner eye. Could you clarify?
It means that there is no deity in the world. There is no idol in the world. We make things into idol. So what is in me that is making something, that is perceiving something as an idol and giving it the illusory qualification of an idol, of a deity, to the extent that I am in ghafla, in disconnection with my maker and sustainer, I start perceiving myself as independent of him, and therefore appropriating some things that are given to me, qualities, starting from my life to myself. And so as a projection, if I am independent, then everything else is independent to that extent. And so things, people will have, if I have power, they have power. But if my power is small, they have more power. Therefore, I have to, for instance, I'm giving an example of power. I have to fear them. I have to cater for their whims so they won't harm me, or so they will, I can use them and benefit from them. I'm making them into an idol, to a deity, because of my own self-perception that project in the world as perceiving others in the mirror of the self. That's what I meant, inshallah.
So the distinction is idol against God. This is the very argument that people use against God, against belief in God.
Which means
it's not, God is the creation of human need.
Ah, yes, I see. Yeah. So if when we are in that plane, in that ghafla state of being, then God seems to be like the ultimate idol. However, when we go with the tarbiyah of the Qur'an, the teachings of the Qur'an, it says, look at yourself. So it's not by being heedless of oneself, but it's the opposite. It says, first sit and reflect on your powerlessness, on your lack of strength, and on the other side, on your needs and desires. And that's when we find that everything else is like us. And the argument has been going through the 30 windows. That's when we understand that there is the powerlessness in everything. First in the outer world, later it will come to ourselves, is pointing, yet at the same time, everything is made with power, with knowledge, with wisdom, is pointing to a source of power, of knowledge and things that is outside the realm of the creation, the realm of being as we know it, the realm of transient being, of impermanent being. And that's why that's the samad. And many times the word samad and samadaniya have been mentioned, because samad is very important. And in Surah Al-Ikhlas, which ikhlas means sincerity, sincerely, 100% God, one only, is Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad. God is one and unique. Why? Because he's samad. Samad means everything, I look around, everything is in need of this source of all-encompassing power and knowledge and control and things. Yet that it's the only thing that is not in need of being sustained, being helped. So we go to a totally different realm. But within this realm, yes, if for the one who is in ghafla, the one who stays in the realm of disconnectedness, the realm of still the ego is still giving something to itself, appropriating its being to itself, its life to itself, then God seems like the ultimate, biggest idol. And it's true for lots of people, because for many people, even in the Muslim world, God is ultimately without realizing, of course, is the primary mover, the primary cause, the one who caused everything. Like, we don't have to be philosophers or something. We don't have to use this word. I'm talking about the concept. For instance, it feels like, like I am here, the product of my parents, their parents, their parents, their parents, but God created Adam. What do you mean God created Adam? Everyone is Adam. God created you here now, not only, and maybe Muslims will say at birth. No, not only at birth, of course at birth, but now as well. It's not like the baby suddenly became a child and then a teenager and then an adult. Well, each stage, and that stage can be shortened as much as we can, is the creation of God. How do we know? That's how we know the Creator. So yes, that argument only works in a state of ghafla. But here, that's why we want to break that mindlessness and heedlessness. That's why cultivating, reflecting, and cultivating awareness is here and now is so important. That's the only way we can go out of that illusory bubble of the I with its idols, whether you call it God or any other idol. That's not the God of the Qur'an. That's why some converts I know, the more they start working, they don't want to use the word God, because they say that's not Allah that's being taught here. So they want to use the word Allah to make to remind themselves. I remember a lady was saying, when I say God, it doesn't bring any feeling within me because it just has nothing to do with me.
So the main thing is being conscious, in our consciousness, breaking all the idols that we subconsciously create, many idols, and then we say that God is the biggest idol. No. Breaking all the idols will lead to the source, not.
Yeah, we can actually. It's a very important question. It is directly related to these 3 points, because especially in the second aspect, if someone can remind us of this question, we will see how, if we get stuck there and don't forget about the first aspect, then it's very easy to go into shirk mode, and how that leads to shirk means some things are perceived as partners in the creation, in the process of bringing things into being, of benefiting, of power, of inshallah.
So I think we are nearing Maghrib time, inshallah. So if Yamina, you want to end with the dua, or if anyone has any question related to the topic, quick one, please. Otherwise, inshallah, Sister Yamina can end with the.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Yamina. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I just wanted to share my simple observation. Maybe it is a far-fetched, but I recently have been paying attention in artwork and therapy with clients and just in general for my own therapeutic effect that it has on me. Islamic geometric patterns. And when we look at, the idea of the mirror and the complexity and the oneness and the unity, I think the Islamic geometric patterns and the way they are formed and the way they are designed and the way they are exponential in terms of their variation, and yet they show in a very abstract but in a very tangible and a very aesthetically defined manner that how systematic, how rule governed, and at the same time how fluid these designs can be. And I'm just drawing a comparison between all the names that we have learned of Allah Ta'ala through the Risale Nur reflected on Quran verses. There is indeed that unity, that sense of composure or a composition, I should say, an orchestra, a symphony that is not possible anywhere else. If I were to visualize it, I can't visualize Allah Ta'ala with a face, but I can see him in the creation, even how humans are gifted that ability to make use of a compass and a ruler and go on to making all of these beautiful Islamic tile designs, Arabesque designs, or mosaic, Moroccan mosaic. And so from a tangible physical world, from the spiritual and conscious realms, it makes sense to me that this is something so great that human mind cannot grasp it. And hence we need to be relying on these indirect but very direct ayats of Allah Ta'ala's presence and his all-encompassing, unifying existence that we are all a part of. I just wanted to say that. Jazakallah khair for today's lesson.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Sarah. Alhamdulillah. هذا من فضل ربي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. استغفر الله نستغفر الله استغفر الله العظيم الكريم الرحيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ونتوب إليه سبحانه. آمين. والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Thank you and Assalamu alaikum, and see you inshallah bi'idhnillah next Thursday inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan, sister.
Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wassalam.